Hi guys, we're on to step 2 now of the lesson. So the first part was creating these shapes, okay? So hopefully we've got these done and we fine-lined them. The second part we're going to do is we're going to think about how we can add or remove detail, in this case, to our designs. It's important that we learn to do this so that if you think about our lamp, in the top section, we can look at how we can remove detail to show where the light is going to come through, and sort of how we can position where everything's going to go to make sure it looks in proportion. So on each one, I've removed some detail. It's probably harder to remove in some cases than to add, okay? So if we go back to our original, so one I've got here, we're going to look at how we're going to remove detail. So if we're going to still use our ruler, use it in the same way. Hopefully we've still got our lines at the base. That is going to help us a lot with this moving forward, okay? If not, just quickly try and draw them back on to show where they are. But it's going to be key. You might be able to work off the lines that you've got here, okay? So the first thing, I'm just going to look at trying to take a section out of the top. So if I position my ruler and I'm going to look up, just carefully drawing on 2 perpendicular lines, okay? Nothing too sort of fancy with it. One there and one there, okay? And I'm then going to do it the other way around. So we're effectively creating a square at the top of our design. There and there. So in this instance, if we wanted to add detail, we take these points here that we've got and we'd add vertical lines to them. So we'd bring them and raise them up, okay? So what I'm going to show you here is how we could physically bring them out, okay? We're going to do the same on the other one. We're bringing this line up. Not really going to see the one at the back because it's going to be hidden. And we're going to follow the same process. Drawing the line up there. And a point here. And on the back as well. So all we're doing here is we're adding, okay? And what I do on the other side, on the other face, I'll show you about removing detail. The problem what I've done with this one is because I've already fine-lined, you're already going to see what's behind it, okay? So reality is I should have probably left fine-lining to the complete end until I was finished, okay? So I'm going to bring these lines down and I'm going to drawing all these up. Remember, it's only the ones that I can visibly see. You're not going to see the ones at the back, so they're not needed. So we're adding detail here. So imagine this is the plywood top that you've done, and we're bringing it out from our base. And then the next thing from this would be to remove objects from it, okay? So I'm gonna rub all the things out that I don't need. And here I've added detail to my shape. Okay, so you can see there what I was talking about before. You've got these hidden bits that normally I wouldn't see, which I probably should have waited to do, but I've added detail on, and now on this face, I'm gonna show you how you can remove some detail. So we're gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna produce a vertical line along the side, And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to look at producing a little triangle insert on the side. And on the side, let's have our perpendicular line coming down. And in this instance, I'm going to join these up, okay? I'm going to go from point to point. For this triangle, there's no need for doing it isometric. You can join the lines up. And you're going to join from point to point. So there's two ways that you could do this. I could just show this line here going all the way back. So that would give the impression that that triangle shape goes all the way through our object, okay? So I'm happy for you to do that. Or what you could do is you could show it as a little insert. So you've taken maybe 2 or 3 mil out of this face as a triangle. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go from this point here, and from that point, I'm just gonna produce a vertical line. And that's gonna go up into the shape, okay? And again, from this point here, I'm gonna come across and nice perpendicular line again, using the 30 degrees, bring the ledge across. So now it looks like I've just taken a little triangular shape out of the sides of this object. And again, like with everything guys, we're going to be fine lining so that we can then get rid of any detail or any lines that are unwanted, okay? All I can ask when you're doing this is you take time over your work to make sure it's done to the best of your abilities, and then you'll get better final outcomes. So that is for the cuboid. Now we're going to look at the 6-sided shape, the pentagon, the hexagon. I really need to get up on my maths, okay? So what we're going to do here, we're going to produce a square at the top and do it in the same way as how we've done everything else so far in this session, okay? So we're going to make sure that I'm just making sure that's lined up correctly, and I'm going to have my first sort of line at the top here. I'm going to bring my second one roughly here, okay? So I'm just making sure they're perpendicular, so they're still going at 30 degrees, just slightly offset on the inside. And then I'm going to join these up. One here, and one here, okay? So I'm going to do this the other way around. I'm just going to take it from the corner, and I'm going to imagine that it's going all the way through this object. So we've got a square hole within this shape, okay? And again, you'll probably get sick of me saying this, but using a fine liner to highlight what you've drawn, and not highlighter, fine liner. Highlighter would not be a good option to use. Okay, so we're now in a position where we've got a square section taken out of our design. So we've got 1, 2, 3. So we've got 3 different elements now. The final thing we're going to look at is how we do the same thing on a cylinder. So a lot of this, what I'm going to ask you guys, is going to be more freehand. You don't have the same luxuries, and it's probably easier to do it freehand anyway, to give you a bit of sort of confidence. So what I want you to do is, on this top surface, I want you to roughly sketch a circle which is equidistant all the way around, okay? And obviously the main thing is we are using thin pencil lines, so if we make any mistakes, we just rub them out. The reason why I'm showing you how we could do sort of circles, you might have on the side of your object, sort of circles you want sort of taken in to show where the light's coming. So we've got this at the top here. So that is sort of our equidistant shape. What you could do is, like with this one, we could just fine line here, and we don't need to do anything. It could just show that that is hollow all the way through, okay? The other thing, if you wanted to show, like here, there was a little sort of ledge, it doesn't go all the way down. I'm just gonna pick a point, and I'm gonna produce a curve on the inside, okay? Showing that it's got sort of a smaller section that has been taken out. So this bit's a bit messy over here. I'm just going to sort of clean this up. Okay, so I've got a little circular section that's been taken out of this cylinder, okay? So the final thing, if we go through and use a fine liner, we'll get our final outcome, which will then move on to our next step, which is going to be rendering.